Hi, welcome to Being Micah and thanks for joining me for today's video. To read or not to read? That is the question. I'd like to think the answer to that is a resounding yes, so with that thought in mind, I wanted to make this video a quick summary of some of the books I've been reading over the last year, while at the same time giving you some food for thought if you are thinking or deciding which kind of acting book to read. It was supposed to be one video, but the summary turned into quite a detailed bit, trying to get the interesting points out. So I split it into two. So here's part one, and hope you enjoy it. For now, I'm just going to get straight into it and start with this one. It's called In-Depth Acting by Caine. I kind of hope you can see it. It might be reflecting light because it's really bright outside. But it's called In-Depth Acting by Caine, who's a senior RADA acting teacher for 17 years, and now she does freelance on sets of TV and film and things like that. This is a really good book, and it's heavily sort of based on the Stanislavski system in terms of getting his techniques and providing them in a sort of succinct, easy to kind of use way, and it's a really good book for that. It's also got a lot of good general information as well, like general information on auditions and how to go about auditions, and even like if you want to go to a drama school, if you're thinking about going to a drama school, and how to go about preparing for those auditions. And generally the meat of the book is really about developing the character. And to develop the character, she talks about different tools that you can use. And again, it's all based on the Stanislavski technique and his system, like heavily. So to develop the character, she talks about different things such as the magic if. She also talks about in the book imagination and using that. And then also things about like personalization and substitution and endowment. And then further to develop the character, she talks about emotional memory, she talks about effective memory and things like that. I really do like this book. It's really succinct, it's really concise. It's even got a foreword by Pierce Brosnan, and it's really easy to follow. It's an easy read, and you can kind of get through it quite quickly as well. But it's such a good point of reference because you can kind of dip into it, dip out of it. You can read a lot of it as well in one sitting. And the way she presents the tools and the techniques of Stanislavski, which can be quite difficult to understand sometimes, it's a really accessible way. So this is one of my favourite books that I love reading, and I'm definitely always going back to it. And I will keep a link to all these books at the bottom of the video in the description one, so you can maybe check it out as well. So this is that one. Although actually, I almost forgot, some of the good points about this book, are that she's got this thing called private moments, that she talks about having a private moment, whether you be inside your house or whether you be outside, and taking 10 or 15 minutes to have a private moment as the character that you are. So it might be even putting the kettle on and making a cup of tea, or tidying up your house, or taking a walk outside, doing the grocery shopping. She talks about a private moment where you sort of take on the personality of the character, you embody that character that you're going to be playing, and then you just do that private moment in their sort of way. The body language, the way they talk, the way they move, the way they sit, the way they stand, and just having that to further sort of get yourself comfortable in the body of the character, in the skin of the character. One of the other interesting points about this book that I really like is it talks about auditions in short notice, because it's, as I said, it's theatre based and you need the time for it. If you have an audition within like 24 hours or the next day, she's got a series of steps that you can follow to kind of quickly develop that character, get into the script and prepare for the audition in advance. If you're looking for film acting, it's not specifically, it's only got a tiny section on film acting. So it's really the same as other authors have also said. If you have the time, I think she says, and other authors have said it, if you have the time to prepare for it, it's great. And then you can use the same kind of techniques. Another book that I've been reading, and I have read quite a bit of over the last year, quite a while ago, not so fresh in my memory, is this one called The Complete Stanislavski Toolkit by Bella Merlin. And this is much more detailed than the previous one I just talked about. And again, it's heavily based on Stanislavski. And what this tries to do is it tries to it tries to talk about the most important sort of main techniques and things that Stanislavski talked about in his first 3 books, which was An Actor Prepares, I think it was Creating a Role or Building a Character. But the first 3 Stanislavski books, because they were written, I've read the first one and it was okay, but it's kind of difficult to pinpoint where the techniques and what he's talking about because of the way it's written. But this is great in that sense, and for this book she talks about it literally in the sense of a toolkit, having a tray with different tools inside and using those tools depending on what you feel you need for the character. And that is similar as the previous book, where he talks about the different tools you can use, the magic if, and also using your imagination, and also emotional memory, and all the other different kind of tools that the other one has. It's more detailed, it's kind of a big heavy read, there's a lot of writing in this. It's got good examples to really drive the point home. It's really good in that sense. And again, it's just also got great information about when you get the script, and also doing the detective work, so to speak, when you're actually mining the text, as she calls it, to find all the clues, to find all the information, the given circumstances, to answer the questions: who are you, where are you, what are you doing, all that kind of thing. So it's a great book on the Stanislavski tool system, and the way she's written it again is each tool she's kind of put it in, and it's very systematic, very detailed, it's very thorough, it's great for reference. It's not something that I could easily just sit down and read and read and read, because there's a lot of information in it, but as a point of reference, if you want more information on certain things that maybe confuse you about the Stanislavski technique, or some of the things that he talks about in his 3 books, you can definitely refer to this to kind of clear it or clarify it and get more examples on how to actually apply it. So it's a great book in that sense. I would definitely recommend it. There's also a newer edition of this book. This is a 2007 edition, there's a 2014 edition, it's a revised edition. I don't know what's new, what's not, what's taken out, I don't know. But there's a newer edition. These 2 books that I've just talked about are books that I've read and bought when I was back in the UK, and they are heavily Stanislavski based. And it kind of, I feel, represents a lot of the acting classes and a lot of the acting styles that they use back home, where it's very heavily on Stanislavski, using the techniques, building character biography, and answering all the questions in the text, and mining the text, and actioning the text, and all that kind of text detective work. And I feel over here in Toronto, at least in North America, the studios I'm finding, the books that are now being recommended to read, they all seem to have a sort of Meisner approach, where it's all about being there right now. Who are you talking to? What are you doing right now? And less concerned with being, building a character profile and a character biography. So I'm going to go into the next book, which was recommended to me, and it's actually by Michael Caine, he is British, and it's acting in film. And it's a great book, and this is mainly about film acting. And I love this book because it really talks a lot about different tips and advice of how to approach film acting, specifically when you're like on set, how to behave on set, how to behave off set in a professional and being professional. And it's actually based on a transcript that he did, like a 2-day acting class, and it's based on that. And he gives so much tips and advice of actually, what to expect of when you're being on set, how to sort of how to develop a working relationship with everybody else that you're on set with. And one of the great reasons that he says it's useful for is it takes away the nerves. Once you are familiar and you know what to expect on set, you can use the rest of your nervousness to channel it into your performance. And one of my acting teachers here recently also said is directors nowadays on set don't have time to spend too much time working with you and directing you. They want you to be able to come in and actually know what you're doing, know where your mark is, be familiar with everything, do your scene, do your lines, and go. They don't have time for you to have like a learning curve on set, budget, all that kind of stuff. But one thing that he says is really good, and I want to actually just read it to you as well. It's on page 53, and it's just basically what he's been talking about it. Is it page 53? Yeah, here it is. He says, but because you've reduced your fear of the unknown by preparing as much as possible, you should be left with a healthy amount of nervous energy, useful energy that can be channeled into performance. I'm so stuck on that one because I always feel like I still feel nervous, and I'm like, I'm still nervous, still nervous, still nervous, still nervous. But hey, I think everybody else, when you're actually acting on set, you're still nervous. But anyway, the point was that he gives you so much tips and what to expect on a real life film set, that the idea is that because you've taken away the nervousness of that, because you now know how it is, how to behave, how to go about it, you can then channel the rest of the nervous energy that you have in a positive way. And he also has some great general points as well. For example, when you're acting and you're talking to another character, always look inside their eye that's closer to the camera, just so that you steadily looking at them, rather than like your eyes are wavering between eyes or you're looking in different places. It gives you that point of concentration, that point of reference, and he says it just looks better on camera, which it does if you look to the eye closest to the camera. Another one that he gives is also, generally when you're doing your lines, try not to do an action when you're actually saying a line, like causing noise, closing a door, slamming a door, or even like picking something or putting something down that causes a lot of noise on your line, because it's gonna cut that out, and apparently it's more obviously difficult in editing later on, where they're trying to get a clean shot of or a clean take of what you're doing, and it's annoying for the sound engineers. Another tip that he does give is building a character. He says steal from whoever you can, but obviously steal from the best. So take from other characters, take from other people, but steal from the best, and use that to kind of help you out with your character. He's done it, he recommends it, he says that's what, do it. Another final point I want to read from his book is this general piece of advice which we already know, but I think he says it really well, and it's kind of, I feel, the idea behind his book. And if I just read it now, it's on page 138. He says, if you sit around waiting for the big one, when that opportunity finally comes along, you won't be ready for it. So it's just a case of doing as much as you can to get experience, and that in turn, as he says, and he says it really well, it says, learn the confidence you can only gain under fire. By doing that, you learn the confidence that can only be gained under fire. And I think that's the whole thing of his book as well, where he's trying to prepare you and let you know what to expect in advance. So the more you are prepared and what to expect on set, then you've got only the nervous energy surrounding your role and your character and how you're going to do that, which is great. It's a great book, easy read. I definitely recommend that as well. And I read that in a couple of days actually, because it's just so easily written. So I hope you found this video interesting, and join me next week for part 2, where I'll be finishing with a summary of the rest of some of the books that I've been reading. Please do remember to like me on Facebook, follow me on Instagram, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and just share the channel and share the videos with other people who you think would be interested in it. Thanks again for joining me, and I'll see you next week. I'm being Micah, and you be you.